Ashley's eyes went cold as ice when she heard Linda had drunk the wine meant for me. I watched my daughter-in-law's face transform from sweet concern to pure terror through the phone screen. That's when I knew my son had married a wannabe murderer. Where are you watching from today? Drop your location in the comments below and hit that like and subscribe button. You might wonder how I figured out my daughter-in-law was trying to poison me. Well, it started 3 days ago on my 67th birthday when a beautiful bottle of wine arrived at my door with the most thoughtful card you ever did see. For Margaret, the card read in Ashley's perfect cursive. A special vintage for someone truly special. Happy birthday. Love, Ashley and Kevin. Now, I've been around long enough to know when something feels off. And honey, this felt off in ways I couldn't quite put my finger on. Ashley had never given me anything more thoughtful than a generic drugstore card. And here she was sending me what looked like a $100 bottle of wine. The bottle was gorgeous, though. A 2018 Bordeaux with gold foil and everything. Made me feel special for about 5 minutes until my phone rang. Hi, Margaret. Ashley's voice came through so sweet it could rot your teeth. Did you get my little surprise? I did, sweetie. Thank you so much, it's beautiful. Oh, good. I was so worried it wouldn't arrive in time. There was this pause, then she asked, Have you opened it yet? Something about the way she asked made my skin crawl, like she was holding her breath waiting for my answer. Not yet, dear. I'm saving it for a special occasion. But Margaret, and here her voice got just a little too insistent. It's your birthday. What could be more special than that? I walked to my kitchen window and stared out at my neighbor's yard while we talked. You're right, I suppose. But I'm on those new blood pressure medications, remember? Dr. Patterson said no alcohol for at least another month. The silence that followed lasted so long I thought the call had dropped. Ashley, you still there? Oh, yes. Her voice came back higher than before. I forgot about the medication. How silly of me. But something in her tone told me it wasn't silly at all. It was calculated. Well, I said, testing the waters, maybe I could serve it when Linda comes by tomorrow. She's been wanting to try some good wine since her divorce. The sound Ashley made could barely be called human, more like a wounded animal. Linda? Your neighbor Linda? No, sweetie. Linda Morrison, your mother. She's coming by for lunch tomorrow, remember? Dead silence. Then, my mother? When did you invite my mother? Yesterday, when she called. She wanted to see how I was doing after Kevin's business trip. Such a sweet woman, your mother. Margaret, listen to me. Ashley's voice had changed completely. All the sweetness was gone. Don't give that wine to my mother. Why on earth not? It's a very expensive bottle. Very rare. I'd hate for it to be wasted on someone who doesn't appreciate fine wine. The audacity of this woman. Calling her own mother someone who doesn't appreciate fine wine. But more than that, the desperation in her voice was unmistakable. Oh, Ashley, I'm sure Linda would appreciate good wine just fine. Besides, what kind of host would I be if I didn't share a birthday gift? Margaret, please. Now she was practically begging. I'd really prefer if you saved it for a special family dinner. When Kevin gets back from his trip, we could all enjoy it together. That's sweet, dear. But Linda's coming tomorrow, and I already promised her we'd celebrate my birthday properly. With good wine and good company. I hung up before she could say another word. That night, I sat in my living room staring at that bottle. Beautiful thing, really. Shame it was probably meant to kill me. The next morning, Linda Morrison arrived at my door, carrying a bouquet of daisies and wearing her best blue dress. At 61, Kevin's mother-in-law was everything her daughter wasn't. Genuine, kind, and completely unaware that her only child had apparently inherited some very dark tendencies. Margaret, happy belated birthday! She hugged me tight, smelling like the lavender soap she'd used for 30 years. Thank you, dear. Come in. Come in. I have something special to share with you. We settled in my kitchen with turkey sandwiches and fresh fruit. Linda chattered about her new job at the library, her book club, and how proud she was of Ashley's recent promotion at the insurance company. She's really found her calling in risk assessment, Linda said, not knowing how true those words were. Speaking of Ashley, I said, reaching for the wine bottle I'd placed on my counter. She sent me this beautiful bottle for my birthday. I thought we could share a glass. Linda's eyes lit up. Oh my, that is lovely. Ashley has such good taste. I opened the bottle carefully, poured 2 generous glasses, and handed one to Linda. The wine was a deep ruby color. Beautiful, really. To good friends and second chances, I said, raising my glass. To good friends, Linda echoed. I watched her take a sip, then another, then finish half the glass while telling me about her grandson's soccer game. My phone rang exactly 23 minutes later. Ashley's panicked voice came through the speaker, loud enough for Linda to hear. "Margaret, did you drink the wine yet?" "Well, hello, Ashley. Actually, I'm having lunch with your mother right now." "Is she there? Put me on speaker." I looked at Linda, who was now paying attention to the conversation with growing confusion. "You're on speaker, dear." "Mom!" Ashley's voice was shrill with panic. "When did you get to Margaret's house?" Linda glanced at me, then at the phone. "About an hour ago, sweetheart. We're having a lovely lunch. Margaret opened that beautiful wine you sent her." The sound that came through the phone was somewhere between a scream and a sob. "Mom, listen to me very carefully. How much wine did you drink?" Linda looked at her glass, then at me with growing alarm. "I don't know. Maybe half a glass?" "Ashley, what's wrong? You sound terrified. When did you drink it? Exactly when?" "Ashley Elizabeth Morrison, you tell me what's wrong this instant." Linda's maternal authority kicked in, and I watched my sweet neighbor transform into the mother who'd raised a potential murderer. But Ashley had already hung up. Linda stared at the phone, then at her wine glass, then at me. "Margaret," she said slowly, "what exactly do you think was in that wine?" Linda's face went white as printer paper when I explained my suspicions about the wine. "But Margaret," she whispered, setting down her glass like it was a loaded gun, "Ashley is my daughter." "Honey," I said gently, "daughters have been trying to kill their mothers since Cain and Abel, though I suppose that was brothers." Linda Morrison had always been the type of woman who believed the best in people, especially her own child. Watching that faith crumble in real time was heartbreaking, even if it needed to happen. "You really think she was trying to poison you?" Linda's voice shook. "My Ashley?" I reached across my kitchen table and took her trembling hand. "Linda, did you notice how she reacted when I said you'd drunk the wine?" "That wasn't concern. That was panic." Linda pulled out her phone with shaking fingers. "She's calling me back." "Don't answer it yet," I said quickly. "First, we need to figure out how you're feeling. Any dizziness? Nausea? Strange tastes?" Linda considered this carefully. "Actually, I do feel a little queasy, but I thought it was just nerves from Ashley's strange phone call." My blood ran cold. "We're calling poison control. Now." "Margaret, wait. What if we're wrong? What if there's another explanation?" I stood up and grabbed my phone. "Linda, your daughter asked when you drank the wine, how much you drank, and she sounded like someone whose murder plan had gone sideways. There is no other explanation." While I dialed poison control, Linda's phone buzzed with a text from Ashley. "Mom, I need to know exactly what time you started drinking the wine. This is urgent." Linda showed me the message. She's never been this frantic about anything in her life. The poison control operator was professional and thorough. After describing the situation and Linda's symptoms, she advised us to get to the emergency room immediately for blood tests and to bring the wine bottle if possible. "The good news," the operator explained, "is that if she's only had half a glass and it's been less than an hour, we can likely treat whatever was added to the wine before it causes serious harm." As I drove Linda to the hospital, her phone kept buzzing with increasingly desperate messages from Ashley. "Please call me back, Mom. I need to know exactly how you're feeling. Did you finish the whole glass? Mom, please call me. This is an emergency." At the hospital, Dr. Patricia Williams took our situation seriously. "Mrs. Morrison," she said to Linda, "we're going to run a full toxicology panel and keep you under observation for the next few hours. Mrs. Henderson," she turned to me, "you did the right thing bringing her in immediately." While Linda was being examined, I sat in the waiting room making some calls of my own. My nephew Danny works for the county sheriff's department, and he owed me a favor from when I helped his mother through her cancer treatment. "Aunt Margaret, what's going on?" "Danny, I need you to listen carefully and not ask too many questions right away." I explained the situation as clearly as I could. Danny, bless him, took me seriously from the first word. "We'll need to test the wine bottle," he said. "Can you bring it to the station tonight?" "Of course, But Danny, what if I'm wrong? What if there's an innocent explanation? Aunt Margaret, you've never been the dramatic type. If you think someone tried to poison you, that's good enough for me to investigate. 2 hours later, Dr. Williams came back with Linda's test results. Well, Mrs. Morrison, you're going to be fine, but you were right to come in. She held up a clipboard with numbers I couldn't understand. We found traces of antifreeze in your blood, specifically ethylene glycol. Linda gasped. Antifreeze? But it didn't taste like anything unusual. Ethylene glycol has a sweet taste that can be masked by wine, Dr. Williams explained. The amount in your system suggests there was probably about 2 tablespoons mixed into that bottle. If you had consumed the entire bottle, it could have been fatal. My hands started shaking. Ashley had actually done it. She had actually tried to poison me. Doctor, I asked, how long would it take for symptoms to become serious if someone drank a full glass of this mixture? Depending on body weight and overall health, probably 6 to 12 hours before the person would need emergency medical intervention. By 24 hours without treatment, it could cause kidney failure, respiratory distress, and potentially death. Linda was crying now, quiet tears that broke my heart. Mrs. Henderson, Dr. Williams continued, I have to ask, do you have any idea why someone would want to harm you? I thought about my life. At 67, I was healthy, financially comfortable, and generally well-liked in my community. I owned my house outright, had a decent pension from my 30 years teaching high school English, and about $200,000 in savings that I'd planned to leave to Kevin someday. That's when it hit me. My will, I said quietly. I recently updated my will. Linda stopped crying and looked at me. What did you change? Kevin and Ashley know they're my primary beneficiaries. But last month, after Ashley made some very cruel comments about my neighbor Mrs. Patterson's medical expenses, I added a clause. If anything happens to me under suspicious circumstances, the money goes to charity instead. Dr. Williams raised an eyebrow. You suspected someone might try to harm you? Not consciously, but Ashley has been asking a lot of questions lately about my finances, my health, my daily routine. I thought I was being paranoid. My phone rang. Kevin's number. Mom! His voice was frantic. Ashley told me what happened. Is Linda okay? She said there was something wrong with the wine. Interesting. Ashley had called her husband, but somehow failed to mention she was the one who'd sent the wine in the first place. Kevin, your wife sent me that wine for my birthday. Silence. Kevin, you there? What? Mom? That's not possible. Ashley doesn't even drink wine. She knows nothing about it. Honey, do you want to tell me how she afforded a $100 bottle of wine on her insurance salary? More silence. Kevin, I need you to come to St. Mary's Hospital right now. And don't bring Ashley. Is Linda okay? Linda's going to be fine, but we need to talk about your wife. After I hung up, Linda grabbed my arm. Margaret, what if Ashley finds out that I'm alive and okay? What if she tries again? I patted her hand, feeling calmer than I had all day. Honey, Ashley is about to discover that poisoning people is much harder when your victims fight back. Kevin walked into that hospital room looking like a man whose entire world had just been turned upside down and shaken. Mom, he said, his voice barely above a whisper, please tell me this is all some terrible misunderstanding. Sit down. Son, I said, gesturing to the chair beside Linda's hospital bed. We need to talk. Kevin Henderson was 42 years old, an accountant with his own small firm, and up until about 4 hours ago, he'd believed he was married to a woman who loved him. Looking at his face now, I could see that belief cracking like ice on a pond. The wine Ashley sent you, he began slowly. She told me she ordered it online as a surprise. Said she spent weeks researching the perfect bottle for your birthday. Kevin, Linda said gently, that wine had antifreeze in it. Enough to kill your mother if she'd drunk the whole bottle. My son's face went gray. That's impossible. Ashley wouldn't. She couldn't. Honey, I interrupted, I need you to think carefully. Has Ashley been asking questions about my finances lately? My daily routine? My health? Kevin was quiet for a long moment. She asks about your health all the time, but that's normal, right? She cares about family. What kind of questions? Like, Kevin struggled to remember. She wanted to know about your blood pressure medication, whether you have a heart condition, if you've made arrangements for long-term care if you get sick. Linda and I exchanged glances. And she's been really interested in your will, Kevin continued, looking more uncomfortable with each word. She asked me if you'd updated it recently, who your beneficiaries are, whether you have any debts that would affect the inheritance. Kevin, I said carefully, when did these questions start? About 3 months ago. Kevin's voice was getting smaller. Right around the time we found out her promotion at work fell through. There it was. Ashley's motivation was becoming clearer by the minute. My phone buzzed with another text from Ashley. Kevin's not answering his phone. Where is everyone? I'm getting worried. I showed the message to Kevin. What do you want to tell your wife? Kevin stared at the phone for a long time. I don't know what to believe anymore. Well, I said, here's what we're going to do. We're going to find out exactly what your wife is capable of. Danny arrived at the hospital 20 minutes later with an evidence collection kit and a grim expression. Aunt Margaret, I talked to the detective assigned to this case. We're taking this very seriously. Detective Sarah Murphy was about 35, sharp-eyed, and had dealt with family poisonings before. Mrs. Henderson, I need to ask you some difficult questions about your relationship with your daughter-in-law. Ask away. Have you and Ashley had any recent conflicts? Arguments about money, family matters, anything that might have escalated? I thought about the past few months. Nothing dramatic, but she's made some comments that bothered me. What kind of comments? Last month, my neighbor Mrs. Patterson had a stroke. Ashley said it was probably for the best, because medical bills would have wiped out her savings anyway. Said it was selfish of old people to cling to life when they're just draining resources from younger generations. Detective Murphy wrote this down. Anything else? She's asked me several times if I've considered moving to a senior living facility. Says my house is too big for one person, too expensive to maintain. But Kevin, did you know Ashley's been researching the value of my property? Kevin looked stricken. What do you mean? I saw her looking up recent home sales in my neighborhood on her phone, taking pictures of my backyard, asking about the condition of my roof and plumbing. Mrs. Henderson, Detective Murphy said, we're going to need to test that wine bottle thoroughly, but I have to ask, is there any chance this could have been accidental contamination? Linda spoke up. Detective, you should have heard Ashley on the phone. When she found out I'd drunk the wine, she sounded like someone whose murder plan had gone wrong. We'll be analyzing the bottle and interviewing Mrs. Ashley Henderson tomorrow, Detective Murphy said. In the meantime, I need you all to be very careful. If she suspects we're investigating her, she might escalate. Kevin finally found his voice. Detective, what should I do? I live with her. I share a bed with this woman. You go home and act normal. Don't confront her about any of this. Let her think the plan worked until we know more. After the detective left, Kevin sat in silence for a long time. Finally, he looked up at me with tears in his eyes. Mom, what if I've been married to a monster for 3 years and never knew it? Honey, I said softly, Sometimes the people we love are capable of things we can't imagine. The question is, what are you going to do about it? Kevin's phone rang. Ashley's name lit up the screen. Answer it, I told him. And remember, you don't know anything yet. Kevin took a shaky breath and answered. Hey, babe. Kevin. Finally. Where have you been? I've been so worried. How's Linda? Is she okay? The concern in Ashley's voice sounded so genuine that for a moment I wondered if we'd gotten this all wrong. Then I remembered the terror in her voice when she'd learned Linda had drunk the wine. Linda's fine, Kevin said, his voice remarkably steady. Just some kind of reaction to the wine. Probably an allergy or something. Oh, thank goodness! Ashley's relief sounded real. I felt so terrible that my gift made her sick. Is she in the hospital? Just for observation. She should be going home tomorrow. And Margaret? How is she handling all this? Kevin looked at me. I nodded. She's pretty shaken up. Linda drinking her birthday wine and getting sick. It really upset her. Poor Margaret. I feel awful that my gift caused all this trouble. Maybe I should come to the hospital, bring flowers or something. No, Kevin said quickly. Then, more calmly, the doctors are limiting visitors. Too much excitement isn't good for Linda right now. Of course. Well, when you get home, I'll have dinner waiting. Your favorite lasagna. After Kevin hung up, Detective Murphy, who'd been listening, shook her head. Either she's completely innocent, or she's a very good actress. Detective, I said, tomorrow morning, when you interview Ashley, Ask her one specific question. What's that? Ask her where she bought the wine. If she can't give you a specific store, receipt, or online order confirmation, you'll know she's lying. Linda squeezed my hand. Margaret, what if we're wrong about her? I squeezed back. Then we'll all feel foolish, and Ashley will have a story to tell for the rest of her life. But honey, if we're right, I didn't need to finish the sentence. If we were right, Ashley Henderson had just made the biggest mistake of her life. The next morning, I was making coffee when my doorbell rang at exactly 8:15 a.m. Through the peephole, I could see Ashley standing on my porch, holding a bouquet of yellow roses and wearing what I call her sympathy face, that perfectly practiced expression of concern she'd perfected for family emergencies. Margaret! She wrapped me in a hug that felt like being embraced by a snake. How are you holding up after yesterday's scare? I invited her in, watching her scan my kitchen for the wine bottle. It was gone, of course, in police custody, but she didn't know that yet. I brought these to brighten your day, she said, handing me the roses. And I wanted to apologize again for the wine making Linda sick. That's very thoughtful, dear. Coffee? Please. I poured 2 cups, noting how Ashley kept glancing toward my kitchen counter, where the wine bottle had been sitting yesterday. Ashley, I said casually, Detective Murphy from the Sheriff's Department wants to ask you a few questions about the wine. Just routine when someone has a medical reaction to alcohol. Ashley's hand froze halfway to her coffee cup. Detective? Isn't that a bit much for a simple allergic reaction? Apparently, it's standard procedure when someone ends up in the emergency room. I see. Ashley set down her cup without taking a sip. What kind of questions? Oh, probably just where you bought it, when you ordered it, that sort of thing. The silence that followed was so complete, I could hear my refrigerator humming. Actually, Ashley said slowly, I'm not sure I kept the receipt. That's okay, dear. I'm sure you remember which store you went to. Another long pause. It was online. I ordered it online. Which website? Ashley was starting to look like a deer caught in headlights. I don't remember the exact name, one of those wine retailer sites. They all look the same. I nodded sympathetically. Well, it'll be on your credit card statement. The detective can help you look it up. Ashley stood up abruptly. You know what, Margaret? I just remembered I have a dentist appointment this morning. Rain check on the coffee? Of course, dear. Detective Murphy said she'd be calling you later today anyway. After Ashley left, practically running to her car, I called Danny at the sheriff's office. She's spooked, I told him. Couldn't give me a straight answer about where she bought the wine. Good. When people start lying, they usually make mistakes. Detective Murphy will interview her this afternoon. At 2 p.m., my phone rang. Kevin. Mom, Ashley just got back from the sheriff's office and she's acting really strange. Strange how? She's packing a suitcase. Says her sister in Phoenix needs her to come help with some family emergency. But Mom, Ashley doesn't have a sister in Phoenix. She doesn't have any siblings. My blood went cold. Kevin, where are you right now? At my office. Ashley called and told me about the trip. Said she'd be leaving tonight. Don't go home alone. Call Detective Murphy right now. Mom, you're scaring me. Good, you should be scared. Ashley is running, which means she knows we're on to her. I called Detective Murphy myself as soon as I hung up with Kevin. Mrs. Henderson, we need to talk, Detective Murphy said. Your daughter-in-law just lied to me for 45 minutes straight. About the wine? About everything. She claimed she bought it at a wine shop in Springfield, but when I called the shop, they've never heard of her. She said she paid cash, but couldn't explain why she drove 2 hours to buy wine in a different city. And when I asked for her phone to check online order confirmations, she said she'd lost it. Kevin says she's packing to leave town. I figured she might try that. We've got units watching her house. If she tries to run, we'll arrest her. But Detective Murphy underestimated Ashley's desperation. At 4 p.m., Kevin called me crying. Mom, she's gone. What do you mean gone? I came home and the house is empty. Her clothes, her car, everything. She left a note saying she couldn't handle being accused of something she didn't do. Kevin, call Detective Murphy immediately. I already did. They're putting out an APB. But Mom, if she really did try to poison you, and now she knows we're investigating. Kevin didn't need to finish the sentence. A woman desperate enough to poison her mother-in-law was desperate enough to try again. That evening, Linda came over to stay with me. Margaret, I can't stop thinking about something. What's that, honey? When Ashley was asking me all those questions yesterday about when I drank the wine, how much I drank, she sounded like she was calculating something. Calculating what? Like she was trying to figure out if I'd consumed enough to die. We sat in my living room with the curtains drawn and the doors locked, waiting for Detective Murphy to call with news about Ashley's whereabouts. "Linda," I said around 9 p.m., "I need to tell you something." "What?" This wasn't her first attempt. Linda turned to stare at me. "What do you mean?" 3 weeks ago, I got food poisoning after Ashley brought me homemade cookies. Spent 2 days sicker than I'd ever been in my life. At the time, I thought it was just bad luck. "Margaret, why didn't you tell me this earlier?" "Because I didn't want to believe it myself. But now," my phone rang. Detective Murphy. "Mrs. Henderson, Ashley's car was found abandoned at the bus station in Springfield. We're checking security cameras and bus schedules, but she's got at least a 6-hour head start. Detective, what does this mean for my safety?" "It means Ashley Henderson is now a fugitive suspected of attempted murder, and fugitives sometimes do desperate things." After I hung up, Linda and I looked at each other. "What do we do now?" Linda asked. "Now," I said, "we wait. And we hope Ashley is smarter than she's proven to be so far." But deep down, I knew Ashley wasn't done with me. Women like her don't give up easily. They just get more dangerous. The call that changed everything came at 6:30 a.m., exactly 3 days after Ashley disappeared. Detective Murphy's voice was tight with urgency. "Mrs. Henderson, we need you to come to the station immediately. We've discovered something about your daughter-in-law that changes the scope of this investigation." Linda drove me to the sheriff's office, both of us silent and tense. Detective Murphy met us at the entrance, her expression grim. "Mrs. Henderson, before I show you what we found, I need to ask you about Ashley's previous marriage." I blinked, confused. Previous marriage? Ashley was never married before Kevin. Detective Murphy exchanged glances with another officer. "Ma'am, Ashley Henderson was married twice before she met your son. Her first husband died of sudden heart failure at age 34. Her second husband died of kidney failure at 38. The words hit me like a physical blow. Linda grabbed my arm to steady me. "That's impossible," I whispered. "Ashley told us Kevin was her first serious relationship." "Mrs. Henderson, both deaths were initially ruled natural causes. But after we started investigating the wine incident, we contacted police departments in Ashley's previous towns. They're reopening both cases." Detective Murphy led us to a conference room where files and photographs were spread across a large table. "Meet Thomas Bradley and Marcus Chen," she said, pointing to photos of 2 men, husband number 1 and husband number 2. I stared at the pictures. Both men were handsome, successful-looking, and appeared to be in their 30s. What happened to them? Thomas died in 2018 in Nevada. Sudden heart failure. No history of heart problems, but Ashley inherited his life insurance policy and his house. Marcus died in 2020 in Colorado. Kidney failure. Again, no previous kidney issues, but Ashley was the sole beneficiary of his estate. Linda made a small sound of distress. "How much money are we talking about?" "Between both men, approximately $800,000 in life insurance and property." I felt sick. "And no one investigated?" "Ma'am, she's very good at what she does. Both men were cremated quickly at Ashley's request. She moved away from both cities within months of their deaths, and she changed her name each time." Detective Murphy pulled out another file. "Her real name is Ashley Marie Winters. She's been using different variations and married names for years." "What name did she use when she married my son?" "Ashley Morrison. She told Kevin her maiden name was Morrison, right? That's why he thought Linda was her mother." Linda and I stared at each other in horror. "You mean," Linda said slowly, "I'm not actually Ashley's mother?" "No, ma'am. Ashley Morrison doesn't exist. Ashley Winters targeted your son specifically because he talked about his wealthy mother in online dating profiles." The room was spinning. I gripped the edge of the table. "Detective, how long has she been planning this?" "Based on what we've found, she's been researching your finances and daily routine for at least 8 months. She joined Kevin's church specifically to meet him. She got a job at an insurance company specifically to learn about life insurance policies and beneficiary arrangements." Detective Murphy opened another folder. "And Mrs. Henderson, there's something else. We found Ashley's laptop in her abandoned car." She turned the computer screen toward me. It showed a detailed spreadsheet with my name at the top. She's been tracking everything about you. Your sleep schedule, your shopping habits, your doctor appointments, your medication routine. Look at this column. It's labeled Opportunities. I read the entries with growing horror. Tuesdays, grocery shopping alone, usually 2 to 4 p.m. Thursdays, garden work, drinks from hose outside. Saturday mornings, walks alone in park. Takes medication with breakfast every day. She was looking for ways to poison me, I said quietly. Yes, ma'am, and according to these notes, the wine was plan number 4. What were the other plans? Detective Murphy hesitated. Contaminated water hose, poisoned food left on your doorstep, and something she labeled medication switch. Linda was crying now. Margaret, what if you hadn't been suspicious of the wine? What if I hadn't come over that day? I thought about how close I'd come to drinking that wine myself, how Ashley's voice had sounded when she thought her plan had worked. Detective, where is Ashley now? We don't know, but Mrs. Henderson, we're confident she's not finished with you. What do you mean? According to her laptop files, you represent her biggest potential payout yet. Your estate is worth approximately $350,000, plus your house. For someone who's made a career out of murdering for money, that's too big a prize to walk away from. The room fell silent except for Linda's quiet sobbing. What do we do now? I asked. Now, we catch her, but Mrs. Henderson, we need your help. How? Detective Murphy leaned forward. Ashley made one crucial mistake. She doesn't know that we know about her previous husbands. She thinks she's just wanted for one attempted poisoning. So she might try to contact Kevin to convince him she's innocent. You want to use my son as bait? We want to use Kevin's phone as bait. If Ashley calls him, we can trace the call. If she texts, we can track the location. Kevin would be completely safe. We'd have officers with him at all times. I looked at Linda, who had stopped crying and was now staring at the photos of Ashley's dead husbands. Margaret, Linda said quietly, how many other women like us are out there? How many other mothers who don't know their daughters-in-law are killers? That decided it for me. Detective Murphy, what do you need Kevin to do? We need him to post on social media that he believes Ashley is innocent and wants her to come home. If she sees it, she might reach out. And when she does, we'll be ready for her. But as we left the sheriff's office that morning, I couldn't shake the feeling that Ashley Henderson, or Ashley Winters, or whatever her real name was already one step ahead of us. Because women who make a living murdering husbands don't stay amateurs for long. Kevin posted that Facebook message at exactly 2 p.m. on Thursday. And I have to say, watching my son pretend his wife wasn't a serial killer took more acting talent than I knew he possessed. Missing my beautiful wife, he wrote. Ashley, please come home. I know you didn't do anything wrong. We can work through this misunderstanding together. Detective Murphy and I watched from her computer as Kevin hit share. Within minutes, the post had dozens of comments from concerned friends and family members. Now we wait, Detective Murphy said, but I've never been good at waiting, especially when someone's been trying to murder me for sport. Detective, I have an idea. Mrs. Henderson, please don't tell me you want to put yourself in danger. Honey, I said, I'm 67 years old, and someone's already tried to poison me. How much more danger can I be in? That afternoon, I drove to Kevin's house, where 3 unmarked police cars were positioned around the neighborhood. Kevin answered the door, looking like he hadn't slept in days. Mom, what are you doing here? The police said to stay away until they catch Ashley. Kevin, that woman has murdered 2 husbands and tried to kill me. I'm not hiding in my house like a scared rabbit. I walked past him into the living room where I'd shared so many family dinners, never knowing I was breaking bread with a killer. Besides, I added, settling into Ashley's favorite chair, I want to see where she's been planning my murder. Detective Murphy arrived 20 minutes later, clearly annoyed that I'd ignored her advice. Mrs. Henderson, this isn't a game. You're right, Detective. It's not a game. It's my life. And I'm tired of other people making decisions about it. Kevin brought us coffee in the mugs Ashley had picked out, white ceramic with little blue flowers. Looking at them now, I wondered if she'd considered poisoning my coffee too. Kevin, I said, show me Ashley's desk. Kevin led us to the spare bedroom Ashley had converted into a home office. The desktop computer was gone, taken as evidence, but her filing cabinet remained. Did the police go through all of this? I asked. They took most of it, Kevin said, but they left the household stuff. I opened the bottom drawer and found exactly what I was looking for: Ashley's personal address book. Detective Murphy, look at this. The address book was meticulously organized, but what caught my attention was a section labeled References, with names and phone numbers I didn't recognize. Kevin, do you know who these people are? Kevin looked at the names. I've never seen these before. Detective Murphy was already pulling out her phone. I'll run these names through our database, but I had a different idea. Detective, what if we call them? See what they have to say about Ashley? Mrs. Henderson, that could compromise the investigation, or it could give us information we need to catch her. Against Detective Murphy's better judgment, we called the first number listed under Sarah Williams. Hello? A woman's voice answered. Hi, this is Margaret Henderson. I'm trying to reach someone who might know Ashley Morrison. The silence that followed was so long I thought the call had dropped. Ma'am, the woman finally said, are you calling about Ashley because she's done something to hurt someone in your family? Detective Murphy grabbed the phone and put it on speaker. This is Detective Murphy with the county sheriff's office. Who am I speaking with? My name is Sarah Williams. Ashley Morrison was married to my brother Marcus Chen for 8 months before he died. Detective Murphy and I looked at each other with excitement. Mrs. Williams, we're investigating Ashley for attempted murder. Could you tell us about your brother's death? Detective, Marcus was perfectly healthy. 38 years old, ran marathons, never had a sick day in his life. Then he married Ashley, and within 6 months, he was complaining of constant headaches, nausea, and fatigue. Did he see a doctor? Ashley convinced him it was stress from work. She said doctors were expensive and he just needed to rest more. She made him special teas, cooked all his meals, took care of him like a devoted wife. I felt sick listening to this. Mrs. Williams, what happened in the end? Marcus died of kidney failure on a Tuesday morning. Ashley found him collapsed in their bathroom. She was hysterical, such a grieving widow. The doctor said sometimes these things just happen. Was there an autopsy? Ashley said Marcus wouldn't have wanted his body disturbed. She had him cremated 2 days later. By Friday, she was meeting with insurance adjusters. Detective Murphy was taking notes furiously. Mrs. Williams, did Ashley ever ask about Marcus's family? His inheritance? His accounts? She asked a lot of questions about our family's finances. Wanted to know if Marcus had any debts, any obligations to relatives. She seemed relieved when we told her Marcus was pretty much on his own financially. After we hung up, Kevin was staring at the phone in horror. Mom, this is exactly how she was acting with me, asking about your health, your money, your daily routine. Kevin, I said gently. She was studying me like a science experiment. Detective Murphy's phone buzzed. Kevin, Ashley just responded to your Facebook post. Kevin's hands shook as Detective Murphy handed him the phone. The message was simple. Meet me at Miller's Pond tonight at 8 p.m. Come alone. I can explain everything. That's where you had your first date, I said to Kevin. She's trying to use sentiment to manipulate him, Detective Murphy observed. Kevin, I said, you're not going to that pond alone. Mom, I have to. If this is the only way to catch her. Honey, women who murder 3 husbands don't usually stop at attempted murder of mothers-in-law. Detective Murphy was already making calls, arranging surveillance teams and backup officers. Kevin will wear a wire, she explained. We'll have snipers positioned in the woods around the pond. If Ashley tries anything, what if she sees the police? Kevin asked. She won't, Detective Murphy assured him. But Kevin, you need to understand. Ashley is desperate now. Desperate people do unpredictable things. As evening approached, I found myself thinking about Ashley's other victims. Marcus Chen, who died thinking his wife was taking care of him. Thomas Bradley, whose heart failed while Ashley cashed in his life insurance policy. And then I thought about Kevin, my only son, walking into the darkness to meet a woman who had probably been planning his death since their wedding day. Detective Murphy, I said, I need to ask you something. What's that? When this is over, when Ashley is in prison, how do we live with knowing we shared holiday dinners with a killer? How does Kevin get over being married to someone who was plotting his murder? Detective Murphy looked at me with sympathy. Mrs. Henderson, you survived. That's what matters. Everything else, you figure out one day at a time. At 7:45 p.m., Kevin left for Miller's Pond, wearing a wire and carrying more courage than any son should need. And I sat in my living room with Linda, watching the clock and praying that Ashley Henderson's killing spree was finally about to end. At 8:17 p.m., Kevin's voice came through Detective Murphy's radio so clearly I could hear him breathing. "I'm at the pond," he whispered. "I don't see her yet." Miller's Pond was where Kevin had proposed to Ashley 2 years ago, where they'd had picnics and romantic evening walks. Now it felt like a trap waiting to be sprung. "Copy that," Detective Murphy's voice crackled back. "Stay calm. We've got you covered." Linda and I sat in the police surveillance van parked half a mile away, listening to every word through Kevin's hidden microphone. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold my coffee cup. "Kevin!" Ashley's voice suddenly came through the radio, and hearing it made my skin crawl. "Thank God you came. Ashley, where have you been? Everyone's been looking for you." "I had to run, baby. They think I tried to poison your mother." "It's insane." I wanted to scream. The woman had literally tried to murder me and was still playing innocent. "Ashley," Kevin's voice was carefully controlled. "Just tell me what happened with the wine." "Kevin, I bought that wine as a special gift for your mother. I had no idea it would make Linda sick. Maybe the bottle was contaminated at the store or during shipping. I don't know." "Then why did you run?" There was a pause. Through the radio, I could hear water lapping against the shore. "Because I was scared," Ashley said, and I had to admit, she sounded genuinely frightened. When the police started asking questions, treating me like a criminal, "Kevin, you know me. You know I could never hurt anyone." "I want to believe you," Kevin said. "Then believe me. Come home with me tonight. We'll figure this out together." Detective Murphy motioned to her team. 3 unmarked cars slowly moved into position around the pond. "Ashley," Kevin said, "there's something I need to ask you." "Anything." "The police told me about your previous marriages." The silence that followed was so complete I thought the radio had malfunctioned. "Kevin, what are you talking about?" "Thomas Bradley, Marcus Chen, your first 2 husbands." "Kevin, I don't know who told you that, but I was never married before you. You're my first husband." "Ashley, they have marriage certificates, death certificates, insurance records." "That's impossible." But something in Ashley's voice had changed. The sweet, concerned wife was disappearing, replaced by something colder. "Kevin," Ashley said slowly, "who exactly have you been talking to?" "Ashley, just tell me the truth, please." "The truth?" Ashley's laugh was sharp and bitter. "The truth is that your mother is a meddling old woman who couldn't stand that her son loved someone more than he loved her." Linda grabbed my arm. "Margaret, she's getting angry." "Kevin," Ashley continued, "your mother has been trying to break us up since our wedding day. She's never liked me, never accepted me, and now she's trying to frame me for attempted murder." "Ashley, Linda was in the hospital. The wine had antifreeze in it." "Then your mother put it there herself." The accusation hit me like a physical blow. Even knowing Ashley was a killer, hearing her blame me for her own attempted murder was breathtaking. "That's ridiculous," Kevin said. "Is it? Think about it, Kevin. Your mother updates her will to exclude me if she dies under suspicious circumstances. Then suddenly, there's a suspicious poisoning attempt that makes her look like a victim instead of a manipulative old woman who wants to control your life. I had to hand it to Ashley, for a serial killer. She could think on her feet. "Ashley," Kevin's voice was getting firmer, "I've seen the police evidence, your computer files, the spreadsheets tracking my mother's routine." Another long silence. "Kevin, how long have you been working with the police?" "What do you mean?" "You're wearing a wire. Aren't you?" Detective Murphy was already signaling her teams to move in. "Ashley, I just want the truth." "Here's the truth, Kevin." Ashley's voice was completely different now. Cold, calculating, dangerous. "Your mother is worth more dead than alive, and you, my dear husband, have served your purpose." "What purpose?" "Getting me close to her." "Do you think I married you for love?" "Kevin, you're a boring accountant with thinning hair and no imagination. I married you because your mother has money and lives alone." The cruelty in Ashley's voice was stunning. Kevin made a small sound that might have been a sob. "And Kevin, I've been putting small amounts of digitalis in your coffee for the past month. Just enough to weaken your heart gradually. In another few weeks, you would have had a nice, quiet heart attack. Grief-stricken widow Ashley would have inherited everything." Detective Murphy was shouting orders into her radio. "Move in! Move in now!" "But then your mother had to be suspicious about the wine," Ashley continued. "And now everything is ruined." Through the radio, I could hear car doors slamming, feet running, voices shouting, "Police! Ashley Henderson, you're under arrest." But Ashley wasn't done talking. "Kevin," her voice came through clearly despite the chaos, "I want you to know that Marcus begged before he died. Begged me to call 911, begged me to help him. And I sat there and watched him suffer because his pain meant money in my account. Get away from him." Detective Murphy's voice was sharp with authority. "Thomas was easier," Ashley continued, her voice eerily calm. "Heart medication is simple to tamper with. One little switch of his pills and boom, massive coronary at 34. Ashley, step back and put your hands up. But Kevin, you were going to be my masterpiece. Slow digitalis poisoning, followed by your mother's tragic accident after you died. I would have been rich enough to retire from the husband-killing business. Put the weapon down." That's when I heard Kevin scream, "She's got a gun! She's got a gun!" The next 30 seconds were chaos. Shouting, running, what sounded like a struggle, then 2 gunshots in quick succession. Then silence. "Detective Murphy," I said into the radio. "What's happening? Is Kevin okay?" Static. "Detective Murphy, please respond." More static. Linda was crying. "Margaret, what if something happened to Kevin?" I stared at the radio, waiting for news, praying that my son was still alive and that Ashley Henderson's killing spree was finally over. But in my experience, women who murder for a living don't go down easy. The silence from Kevin's radio stretched for 3 minutes and 47 seconds. I know because I counted everyone. Then Detective Murphy's voice crackled through, and I've never been so relieved to hear anything in my life. "Mrs. Henderson, Kevin is safe. Ashley has been apprehended." Linda and I cried with relief, holding each other in the back of that surveillance van like 2 old women who just watched their children survive a car accident. "Is she hurt?" I asked, then immediately wondered why I cared. Ashley sustained a gunshot wound to the shoulder when she attempted to shoot Kevin. She's being transported to the hospital under guard. And Kevin? Shaken, but unharmed. He's being checked by paramedics as a precaution. 20 minutes later, Kevin climbed into the van, looking like he'd aged 10 years in one evening. His hands were still shaking as he hugged me. "Mom, she really was trying to kill me. All this time she was poisoning my coffee." "I know, honey, I know." She said Marcus begged. She watched him die and enjoyed it. I held my son while he cried, thinking about how close I'd come to losing him to a woman who collected husbands like hunting trophies. Detective Murphy joined us in the van. "Kevin, we're going to need you to come to the hospital for blood tests. If Ashley has been giving you digitalis, we need to get it out of your system. Will I be okay? Digitalis poisoning is serious, but if we caught it early enough, you should recover completely with treatment." As we drove to the hospital, Detective Murphy filled us in on what they'd found at the pond. Ashley had a gun, a fake passport, and $50,000 in cash. She was planning to kill Kevin tonight and disappear forever. "Why didn't she just run when she had the chance?" I asked. "Because Mrs. Henderson, you represent unfinished business. Ashley doesn't like loose ends." At the hospital, Dr. Williams, the same doctor who'd treated Linda, confirmed that Kevin had elevated levels of digitalis in his blood. "Another week or 2 of exposure, and you could have had serious heart arrhythmia," she told Kevin. "You're very lucky this was discovered when it was." While Kevin was being treated, Detective Murphy and I went to see Ashley. She was handcuffed to a hospital bed, her shoulder bandaged, looking for all the world like an innocent victim rather than a woman who'd murdered at least 3 people. "Hello, Margaret," Ashley said when she saw me. "Come to gloat?" "I came to understand," I said, taking the chair beside her bed. "Help me understand how a person becomes someone who murders for money." Ashley studied me for a moment. "You really want to know?" "I do. Money, Margaret. It's always about money. Do you know what it's like to grow up poor? Really poor? Eating generic cereal for dinner because that's all your mother could afford? Lots of people grow up poor, Ashley. They don't become killers, don't they?" Ashley's smile was chilling. "You know what I learned when I was 12 years old? That pretty girls who are smart enough to manipulate men never have to be poor again. So you decided to marry men and murder them? I decided to marry men and take what they owed me for putting up with their boring lives and mediocre sex. The coldness in her voice was breathtaking. Thomas was practice, Ashley continued. Sweet, trusting Thomas who believed I loved him. Marcus was more challenging. He was suspicious by nature. But Kevin was supposed to be my retirement fund. And me? You, Margaret, were going to be my masterpiece. A tragic accident after Kevin's untimely death. Maybe a fall down the stairs. Maybe a gas leak. I hadn't decided yet. Detective Murphy had heard enough. Mrs. Henderson, we should go. But Ashley wasn't finished. Margaret, I want you to know something. What's that? I really did respect you. You're tougher than I expected for a small-town retiree. If you'd just drunk that wine like you were supposed to, this would all be over, and I'd be in Mexico by now. Ashley, I said, standing up, I hope you spend the rest of your life thinking about how you almost got away with it. Her laugh followed us down the hospital corridor. 3 days later, I was in my kitchen making coffee when Kevin arrived, looking better than he had in months. How are you feeling? I asked. Like I've been married to a stranger for 3 years, Kevin said. Mom, how did I not see what she was? Honey, Ashley fooled everyone. Her previous husbands, their families, the police, the insurance companies. She was very good at what she did. But there had to be signs. I thought about this carefully. Kevin, did Ashley ever cook for you regularly? All the time. She said she enjoyed taking care of me. Did she ask a lot of questions about my health, my routine, my finances? Constantly. But I thought she was just interested in family. Did she ever discourage you from visiting me alone? Kevin paused. Actually, yes. She always wanted to come with me or suggested we invite you to our house instead. She was controlling the situation, making sure she knew exactly what was happening between us. Kevin sat at my kitchen table, the same table where I'd served Ashley dinner dozens of times, never knowing she was planning my death. Mom, what happens now? Now you heal, and I heal, and we figure out how to trust people again. What about Ashley's trial? Ashley will go to prison for the rest of her life. The evidence is overwhelming. Kevin nodded, then looked at me with something like admiration. Mom, you saved my life. If you hadn't been suspicious about the wine, if Linda hadn't drunk it by accident, I corrected. We got lucky, honey, very lucky. But as I poured Kevin's coffee, checking the container carefully out of habit, I realized something important. It wasn't just luck that had saved us. It was paying attention. It was trusting my instincts when something felt wrong. It was refusing to be polite when my life was in danger. And most importantly, it was remembering that sometimes the people who want to hurt us look exactly like the people who claim to love us. Ashley Henderson had made one crucial mistake. She'd underestimated a 67-year-old retired school teacher, but she'd never make that mistake again. 2 weeks after Ashley's arrest, I was finally starting to sleep through the night again, when Linda called me at 6:30 a.m., crying so hard I could barely understand her. Margaret, you need to turn on Channel 7 News right now. I fumbled for the remote, and what I saw on my television screen made my blood run cold. Breaking news this morning. Suspected serial killer Ashley Henderson escaped from county jail custody last night during transport to a medical appointment. The news anchor's voice continued over a photo of Ashley. Henderson, accused of murdering 3 husbands and attempting to murder her mother-in-law, overpowered a guard and fled on foot around midnight. She is considered extremely dangerous. I called Detective Murphy immediately. Mrs. Henderson, I was just about to call you. We have units watching your house and Kevin's. Ashley is wounded and desperate. She won't get far. Detective, how does someone escape from police custody? She claimed severe abdominal pain, was transported to the hospital, and somehow got hold of a scalpel from a medical cart. She wounded the transporting officer and disappeared into the woods behind the hospital. Is the officer okay? He'll recover. But Mrs. Henderson, I need you to understand something. Ashley left a message. My heart stopped. What kind of message? She wrote on the hospital room wall with her own blood, Margaret owes me a debt. I sat down heavily in my kitchen chair. What does that mean? It means she blames you for ruining her plans. And women like Ashley don't handle failure well. After Detective Murphy hung up, I called Kevin. Mom, I'm coming over right now. Kevin, the police said to stay where you are. I'm not leaving you alone when Ashley is out there. Honey, you're safer at your house with police protection. And you're safer with family. An hour later, Kevin arrived with a suitcase and a grim expression. I'm staying until they catch her. Kevin, this isn't your responsibility. Mom, she tried to kill both of us. It absolutely is my responsibility. That afternoon, Detective Murphy came by with updates that weren't encouraging. Ashley's been spotted twice, once near the bus station, once near a pharmacy. She's probably trying to get antibiotics for her gunshot wound. Any idea where she might be heading? She has contacts we don't know about, people who helped her disappear between husbands. We're working on tracing her movements over the past 5 years. Detective, I said, Ashley is smart and desperate. She won't just run away and forget about me. What are you thinking? I'm thinking she's planning something, and I'm tired of sitting here waiting for her to try again. Detective Murphy looked alarmed. Mrs. Henderson, please tell me you're not considering doing something dangerous. I'm considering not living in fear in my own home. That evening, Kevin made dinner while I sat at my kitchen table thinking. Ashley had escaped specifically to finish what she'd started. The question was, how was she planning to get to me? Around 9 p.m., my phone rang. Unknown number. Margaret. Ashley's voice was weak but unmistakably venomous. We need to talk. Kevin grabbed the phone to signal Detective Murphy, but I held up my hand to stop him. Hello, Ashley. How's the shoulder? Painful, but not as painful as what I'm going to do to you. Where are you? Closer than you think. Look out your back window. My blood froze. I moved to the kitchen window and peered out into my backyard. Nothing but darkness. I don't see you, Ashley, because I'm not there yet, but I will be. Tonight. Ashley, there are police watching my house. I've been watching too, Margaret. I know exactly where they are. 2 cars in front, 1 officer walking the perimeter every 30 minutes. Very predictable. My hands started shaking. Ashley had been surveilling my house while wounded and on the run. What do you want? I want what you took from me. My plan, my money, my future. You destroyed everything. Ashley, I didn't do anything except refuse to be murdered. You got suspicious about the wine. You involved the police. You ruined a perfect setup. A perfect setup that involved killing your husband. Kevin was expendable. They all were. But you, Margaret, you were supposed to be easy. A lonely old woman grateful for attention from her daughter-in-law. Kevin was furiously texting Detective Murphy, updating her on the call. Ashley, turn yourself in. Get medical attention. This doesn't have to get worse. Ashley's laugh was bitter. It's going to get much worse, Margaret. See, I've spent the last 2 weeks thinking about how you destroyed my life, and I've decided that if I can't have my money, I can at least have my revenge. What does that mean? It means I'm going to kill you slowly, Margaret. The way I killed Marcus. I want to watch you suffer the way you made me suffer. Ashley, you're surrounded by police. Am I? Check your backyard again. I looked out the window, and my heart stopped. A figure in dark clothes was standing at the edge of my property line, barely visible in the shadows. Kevin, call 911, I whispered. But Ashley heard me. Tell Kevin I said goodbye. By the time the police figure out how I got past them, it'll be too late. The line went dead. Kevin was already on the phone with Detective Murphy. She's in the backyard. She's in the backyard right now. Through my kitchen window, I watched the figure move closer to my house. She was limping, favoring her wounded shoulder, but she was definitely coming toward my back door. Kevin, I said quietly, go upstairs and lock yourself in my bedroom. I'm not leaving you down here alone. Kevin, she wants me, not you. Don't give her 2 targets. Mom, go! Kevin ran upstairs just as I heard my back door handle rattle. Ashley had come to finish what she'd started with a bottle of wine 2 weeks ago. And this time, she wasn't planning to make it look like an accident. I've always believed that when death comes knocking at your door, you have 2 choices. Answer it like a victim or meet it like a fighter. At 67 years old, with a serial killer rattling my back door handle, I chose to fight. The door rattled again. Then I heard the sound of breaking glass. Ashley was coming through my kitchen window. I grabbed the largest knife from my kitchen drawer and positioned myself behind my refrigerator, where I could see both the back door and the window. My hands were steadier than they'd been in weeks. Margaret! Ashley's voice came through the darkness of my kitchen. I know you're in here. I could hear her moving carefully, trying not to bump into furniture. The gunshot wound was slowing her down, but desperation was driving her forward. "You know what I realized while I was hiding in the woods?" Ashley continued, her voice getting closer. "I actually enjoyed killing those men." Thomas's fear when he realized his heart medication wasn't working. Marcus gasping for breath when his kidneys shut down. Kevin would have been even better because I would have had time to really savor his suffering. She was trying to frighten me with details, but all she was doing was making me angrier. "But you, Margaret," Ashley's voice was right outside my kitchen now. "You're going to be special. I'm going to make sure you understand exactly what it feels like to die slowly." That's when I stepped out from behind the refrigerator. "Hello, Ashley." She spun around, and I could see she was holding something metallic in her right hand. A scalpel, probably the one she'd used to escape from the hospital. "There you are," Ashley said, smiling that cold smile I'd seen so many times across my dinner table. "Ready to pay your debt?" "Ashley, I need to tell you something." "What's that?" "You made a mistake." Ashley laughed. "I don't make mistakes." "Margaret, you assumed I was a helpless old woman. That was your first mistake. And what was my second mistake? You told Kevin about the digitalis. Out loud, in front of police officers with recording equipment." Ashley's smile faltered slightly. "Your third mistake," I continued, "was escaping from custody. That turned attempted murder into a much more serious offense." "Get to the point, Margaret." "The point is, you're not as smart as you think you are. And your fourth mistake was breaking into my house tonight. Why is that a mistake?" I held up my phone. "Because I've been recording this entire conversation. Everything you just confessed to about enjoying Marcus's death, about planning to make Kevin suffer, about wanting to kill me slowly. It's all being transmitted directly to Detective Murphy." Ashley's face went white. "You're lying." "Am I?" "Check your back pocket, Ashley. The phone you've been carrying since your escape. It's not your phone." Ashley reached behind her with her left hand and pulled out a small device. "What is this?" "GPS tracker. We've known exactly where you were for the past 6 hours." The truth was, Detective Murphy had given me the tracker that afternoon with instructions to plant it on Ashley if I got the chance. But Ashley didn't need to know I'd never had the opportunity to use it. "You've been walking into a trap all evening, Ashley. The police officers you thought you were avoiding, they were herding you exactly where we wanted you to go." Ashley raised the scalpel, her face twisted with rage. "You manipulative old witch." "Ashley, I have one more thing to tell you." "What?" "I lied about the GPS tracker." Ashley blinked, confused. "But I didn't lie about the recording. And I didn't lie about this." I stepped aside, revealing Detective Murphy standing in my kitchen doorway with her weapon drawn. "Ashley Henderson, you're under arrest." Again. The scalpel clattered to my kitchen floor as Ashley realized she'd been outmaneuvered by a 67-year-old retired schoolteacher. "How?" Ashley whispered. "Easy," I said. "I called Detective Murphy the moment you phoned me. She positioned officers around the house but left my back door unlocked so you could get in. We needed you to confess to Marcus's murder on tape." Detective Murphy stepped forward with handcuffs. "Ashley Henderson, you're charged with the murder of Thomas Bradley, Marcus Chen, and the attempted murders of Margaret Henderson and Kevin Henderson, plus escape from custody and assault on a police officer." As they led Ashley away, she turned back to me one final time. "Margaret, you think you've won, but you'll never feel safe again. Every knock at your door, every unexpected phone call, you'll wonder if someone else is coming for you." I looked her straight in the eye. "Ashley, I'm 67 years old. I buried a husband, raised a son, and survived 35 years of teaching teenagers. You think you're the scariest thing I've ever faced?" 2 months later, I was making coffee in my kitchen, the same kitchen where Ashley had tried to kill me twice, when Kevin arrived for our weekly Sunday breakfast. "Morning, Mom. How are you sleeping?" "Like a baby," I said, and meant it. Ashley had been sentenced to life in prison without parole after pleading guilty to avoid the death penalty. The families of Thomas Bradley and Marcus Chen had finally gotten justice for their murdered sons. "Any word from the other victims' families?" Kevin asked. "Marcus's sister Sarah called yesterday. She wanted to thank me for catching Ashley." "And how are you feeling about everything?" I thought about this carefully. "You know what, Kevin? I feel proud." "Proud?" Ashley Henderson was very good at what she did. She'd successfully murdered 2 men and collected their life insurance without anyone suspecting her. She'd fooled police departments in 3 states. Mom, where are you going with this? She was a professional killer. Kevin, and a 67-year-old retired schoolteacher caught her. Kevin laughed, the first genuine laugh I'd heard from him since Ashley's arrest. You know what the funny thing is? I continued. Ashley was right about one thing. I am tougher than she expected. You certainly are. But she was wrong about something else. What's that? She thought growing up poor and learning to manipulate men made her smart and strong. What she didn't understand is that raising children, teaching teenagers, and surviving life makes you smarter and stronger. I poured Kevin his coffee from a brand new container I'd opened in front of him. Besides, I added, women who make a living murdering husbands have one fundamental weakness. What's that? They underestimate wives. And they really underestimate mothers. Kevin raised his coffee cup in a toast. To mothers who don't underestimate serial killers. To serial killers who underestimate mothers, I corrected. As we clinked cups, I thought about Ashley sitting in a prison cell, probably still wondering how a small-town retiree had outsmarted her. The answer was simple. I'd paid attention, trusted my instincts, and refused to be polite when my life was in danger. Most importantly, I'd remembered that sometimes the most dangerous predators come disguised as the people who claim to love us. But Ashley Henderson had forgotten one crucial fact. Mothers will do anything to protect their children, even 67-year-old mothers who just want to drink their birthday wine in peace. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to subscribe and feel free to share your story in the comments. Your voice matters.